Welcome everyone to the BDA Midnight Podcast, coming at you from the witching hour, broadcasting to all of you late night shifters, all you late night cruisers, all you truckers, all you back alley freaks, insomniacs, ER personnel, anyone else wandering through the dark streets having a good time tonight. I hope you're all feeling fine. I sure as hell know I am. And tonight I want to start talking about Adonis Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson, our old friend Adonis Stevenson, who has bricks in his hands. He can knock out anybody anytime he wants. He knows how to use that power, a lot of potential. Unfortunately, if there's one thing we here at the BDA boxing headquarters hate, is a guy with unfulfilled potential. And that is turning out to be the story of Stevenson's life. Because I'm looking at the guy he's gonna fight next, Sean Monahan. And I gotta tell you, not good. Not good at all. Sean Monahan, who for all intents and purposes fights mostly in New York. Looking at his record, he's got Matt Vanda, the king of the Midwest, in his record. He beat him by TKO. Okay, not bad. Elver Muriqui, who at one point was trained by Teddy Atlas, and a lot of people thought had promise. Now he has a less than stellar record. He's got Fulgencio Zuniga also on his record. He TKO'd him. So Zuniga, who is a fat light heavyweight, an old fat light heavyweight, the worst thing you can be in boxing. And he also has Donovan George on his record. He beat him by unanimous decision. Donovan George, who at one time could have been considered a fringe contender, not anymore though. So listen, no disrespect to Sean Monahan, strong guy. He fights behind a tight guard. He has power, some type of power, and he seems to be full of spirit. But it takes more than spirit to beat a guy like Stevenson. Even though Stevenson is 39 now? He might be 39. I'm looking at his age right now. I'm trying to look at his age. Yeah, he's 39. But man, when you fight a guy who has that type of power and knows how to use it, and he has a couple of little tricks in there, Adonis Stevenson. Don't get it twisted. He knows how to jab up and down. Then he hits you with the left downstairs. Then he'll just maybe punch it with the left. Another jab, and before you know it, bam, 1-2, and you're out. Age might catch up with him, especially against a tough, bruising type of fighter like Monahan. But I mean, I just don't see it. Now, Monahan is rated number 10 by the WBC. And Adonis Stevenson was supposed to fight later Alvarez, who also resides in Canada. Alvarez, who's just coming off a sensational KO victory over Lucien Boutte, the love child of Montreal and Quebec. Stevenson paid him a step-aside fee so he could take a voluntary defense against Monahan. And you look at Stevenson's recent record. Since he fought, let's take a look at his record since he fought Chad Dawson. Knocked out Chad Dawson in impressive fashion, first round. Fantastic. Then he takes on Tavoris Cloud. Outboxes Cloud, befuddles him, so much so that Tavoris Cloud is forced to quit. Then he knocks out Tony Bellew. That type of fight, that win, is looking better and better right now, especially since Bellew knocked out David Hay in a slugfest at heavyweight. Then he took on Fonfara, beat him by decision, struggled, was dropped, but he himself also dropped Fonfara. But still, okay, Fonfara is a good win. Then he took on Susoskli, a name I can't even spell. He knocked out Susoskli in impressive fashion, but since then, Susoskli hasn't done anything. I'm not even going to bother trying to spell his name correctly. No disrespect, but hey, it's a name I can't spell here. So Susoskli hasn't done anything since then. Sakio Bika then, by unanimous decision. Bika, tough for anybody, but he's a super middleweight. What's the lineal light heavyweight champion of the world doing taking on a super middleweight? Anyway, it's the PBC. That's how they operate over there, right? Then he knocks out Thomas Carpensi. Carpensi, who was famous for beating an out of shape and unmotivated Chad Dawson. But hey, still, Adonis Stevenson knocked him out, alright, but it's not the type of guy the lineal heavyweight champion of the world should be fighting, now should he? Then he took on Thomas Williams Jr. in a slugfest in which Stevenson's power bailed him out. And now he's taking on Sean Monahan. Hence, why we're talking about Stevenson right now, because I'm going to try to play devil's advocate here. Yes, people out there hate Stevenson now, as well they should, because he's a lineal light heavyweight champion of the world. But as you can see, his opposition has been disgusting in the last few years. But then let's take a look at another point of view. Stevenson is a guy who's relatively old for a fighter. You never know when he's gonna... At 39, you never know what's gonna happen to you. Especially since Stevenson can be dropped, he can be knocked out. But, he's looking for easy fights now for big money. Big money fights for the least risk possible. And that makes sense, because look, he didn't start out with a great amateur pedigree. Jean-Pascal, his contemporary, did have a great amateur pedigree. Stevenson didn't. He started out relatively old. He finally gets a championship of some kind. He got the lineal light heavyweight championship, I should say. So now he wants to make a little money. He wants to be set for life. That's great. Listen, you're the one risking your life if that's what you want to do. The people who defend him say, well, he's a businessman. He wants to fight less risk, more reward. And that's a business. Okay. But if you want to look at this from a business standpoint, you have to admit that boxing isn't just any type of normal business. It's show business. It is show business. Your brand, whether you're entertaining or not, plays into whether people want to see you or not, or pay to see you. And here in Canada, you have to pay to watch him fight because his fights are on pay-per-view. That's right, they're on pay-per-view. So the where you would expect him to have fans, which is Canada, he's making fans pay for it. And against guys like Thomas Williams Jr. and Sean Monahan, I mean, that doesn't seem right now, does it? So if people want to complain about Stevenson's opposition and his unwillingness to take on the big names, I think people have a good reason and a good motivation to complain about it and badmouth Stevenson. Now, when I say badmouth, I'm talking about disrespecting him as a fighter. If it goes further than that, it is what it is. It's the internet out there. Bunch of jackals and hyenas out there. I know you guys. I read your comments and I'm always in there on the internet. I know what it's like, and every once in a while, hey, I'm gonna admit, I've turned into a Mr. Jekyll myself, or Hyde, or whoever the fucking evil one was. I can turn into a jackal too. So it's the nature of the business, because it is show business, like I said. So if Adonis Stevenson wants to fight the guys he wants to fight for the money he's getting, that's great. But then don't expect people to be nice and praise you for who you're fighting, because then that would be dishonest. And talking about dishonesty, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it seems to me that maybe Stevenson wouldn't receive so much flack if he was just upfront about what he wanted to do. Because he comes out and he says he wants to fight Kovalev, he wants to fight Ward, he wants to fight Beterbiev, he wants to fight Jesus Christ and Muhammad at the same time, and then he fights Sean Monahan. So just be upfront about it and say, listen, I'm just cruising, I'm just taking it easy, I'm getting paid good money, I have a family to support, and after boxing, you guys aren't going to take care of me, so this is what I'm going to do, and if you don't like it, you can go screw yourselves. Yeah, that I would respect that more, and I'm pretty sure you guys out there on BDA land would respect that more as well. So it is what it is with Adonis Stevenson. Remember, guys, boxing is a show business. It is show business. Show me what you got, and if you don't got shit, we don't care. It's a cold business, cold-hearted business out there. There's no shoulders to cry on here. So if you've been around boxing long enough, you know what I'm talking about. So that was the Adonis Stevenson subject. Oh, now on a more bright note here, Jorge Linares fought Saturday. He took on Anthony Crowley in a rematch, and boy, Linares looked good, didn't he? The thing that impresses me about a guy like Linares is how he's fast, he's got good combinations, decent power, at this weight anyway, and he was able to get his shots in through Crowley's guard. He was able to pierce that guard, and he was hitting him with some good body shots, uppercuts to the body. Crowley tried, you gotta give him credit, he went to the body himself, but man, Linares was timing him. I'm always impressed with a guy who can, like I said, time somebody who fights behind a tight guard. Remember when Hopkins fought Winky Wright? 10 years ago? He was looking because Wright fights behind a turtle shell defense, and they don't give you any openings. You have to create them or look out for them and really take advantage of them. And that's what Linares was doing here. He really looked good. He looked very good. He looked so good that people are talking about a fight between him and Mikey Garcia. And I don't know how good a fight that would be. Sure, Linares has great physical talent, he's very athletic, and he knows what to do inside that ring. But man, he still has that chin that could go at any moment, could shatter, and he could end up in the canvas against Mikey Garcia. Stretched out, horrifying scene for a couple of minutes anyway. After that, we're all gonna be thinking, "Ooh, what a fucking knockout!" Now, okay, does he really get knocked out against Mikey Garcia? I don't know. It's a competitive fight because Linares isn't just anybody. He's not a pushover. He could be very tough for Mikey Garcia, but the fight that I want to see, and that I know all of you guys out there at midnight want to see, is Mikey Garcia versus Terence Crawford. Whew. Because here's my point of view on this fight. Mikey Garcia has been stretching guys out. He's been laying them out. He's been very, very, very dominant against them. And so has Terence Crawford. So at this point, I don't want to see Terence Crawford fight against a guy I know coming in doesn't really have a shot against him. Same thing with Mikey Garcia. Both guys at this point are where Kovalev and Ward were a year ago. They've taken out a lot of guys, and now we want to see them fight against each other. We want to see them taking on elite fighters where we go, whew, before the fight, we're looking at it and we go, this is a pick 'em fight right here. I don't know who to pick. And that's the fight I want to see between Mikey Garcia and Terence Crawford. And of course, there's history between them, those two, I believe, because didn't they fight in the amateurs? I think they did, right? So you never know. That could come up during the pre-fight conferences and maybe a little trash talking thrown in there for good measure. I mean, that would be a good fight to look forward to. That's the fight I want to see. But again, if that fight can't be made because of, one guy's with the PBC, another guy's with Top Rank, another guy's with Golden Boy, if those fights can't be made, well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Linares versus Garcia, it's a fight that maybe could happen more than Crawford Garcia. So that would be a good little gift there, a good consolation prize. I don't know about you guys. It's not the ideal fight, but hey, if it happens, I'll gladly watch it. Now, I want to talk about Triple G. Triple G didn't look so hot against Daniel Jacobs, at least compared to Triple G standards, because we've been getting used to him knocking guys out, dominating them completely, befuddling them, making them seem like below mortals, really. Now he fights Daniel Jacobs and he goes to decision and it's a close fight. And everybody out there now is saying, oh, he's shot, he's old, he was exposed. Listen, exposed. If he would have lost against I don't know, Matthew Macklin, for example, then you could, or completely outboxed, not just lost, but I'm talking complete outboxed. Then you could have said, yeah, he's been exposed. I could understand that if you wanted to say that, but he didn't. It was against Daniel Jacobs, a big, strong, light heavyweight who's got speed and power and he knows how to use it. Yeah, this wasn't any old fighter. So I don't know why people are saying that Triple G's been exposed, but you know what? That's how it happens in boxing all the time. Somebody struggles, somebody loses. I'm telling you something. I'm convinced that if Sugar Ray Leonard were fighting today, let's say we were a week distance from Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, people would be saying, oh, Sugar Ray Leonard, he only won by knockout. He was getting outboxed. He sucks. He's overrated. He was also struggling against Wilfredo Gomez. He lost against Roberto Duran, a lightweight. He sucks. Everybody sucks nowadays. There's always guys out there saying, this guy sucks, that guy sucks, he's overrated. If you can say that about anybody. Any fighter, you can break down his record and find a fault or a flaw in there. And at the end of the day, you got a bunch of fighters that are they suck. Overrated. Everyone could be overrated if you really look at it that way. But they're not. It's a competitive sport. It's a jungle out there. And you do what you gotta do. So Triple G he's not shot. He wasn't exposed. Maybe you could say some of his flaws were exposed, some of his weaknesses were brought out, but exposed, come on. And if Jacobs exposed him, it wasn't really a great way to expose somebody because he got dropped and he got hurt. It was a competitive fight between two determined fighters, very talented fighters, two of the best middleweights in the world. And what more can you ask from them? Now, the thing that I do find a little bit comical in all of this is that I love Triple G, man. He's a puncher. He comes to fight. If anybody hates Triple G, I don't know what's wrong with you. Abel Sanchez, that's another story. I don't hate Abel Sanchez, but it's interesting how when you talk a lot, you're putting yourself out there for a lot of risk, for a lot of backlash. And Abel Sanchez, for the last few years, since Triple G came out on the scene and started knocking guys out, he's been getting very rambunctious. A little mouthy, if you'd ask me. He was talking about how Triple G was the best, this and that. Now all of a sudden he struggles against Daniel Jacobs, and he says, well, the reason why he's struggling is because he's fighting better guys. Well, wait a minute. What happened to Golovkin being this monster and sparring in the gym and sparring with guys and having to take it easy on them. Otherwise, they didn't want to spar with him anymore. What happened to him backing heavyweights up, doing sparring all the time? Because that's what Abel Sanchez was saying, how Golovkin would dropped Kovalev with 18-ounce gloves on during sparring, and Kovalev had to be told to leave because he wasn't giving up. He wasn't putting up enough of a fight, right? Golovkin's the best fighter I've ever trained. Golovkin's better than Terry Norris, but Golovkin's got a 12-inch dick. Shut up. Enough with this overhyping fighters. I mean, I understand it's the nature of the business. You gotta overhype your guy. It's a product. It's a brand, and if it sells, if you want to sell a fight, then you have to add some sort of an incentive there, right? With Pacquiao too, I think, Freddie Roach back in 2003 was talking about how Pacquiao was destroying everybody in sparring, and people were walking out of the wild card with broken ribs and broken limbs and this and that. So it builds up a fighter. I understand that, but guess what? I don't have to like it, and I don't like it, and I'm gonna put a stop to it tonight. I'm gonna do something about it. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Fuck. I'm just an old man. But you know what? The only thing I can do is voice my displeasure at all this overhyping of fighters. But again, it's the nature of the game. And of course, if we didn't have people out there talking, every fight out there would be just, guys shaking each other's hand, wishing each other's good luck before they try to rip their heads off. So you do need guys out there who create a little controversy. Excuse me, guys out there who create a little controversy, guys like Adrian Broner, Nassim Hamed, Jorge Paez, Hector Camacho, Ricardo Mayorga. Come on, we need those guys. As much as I'm here complaining about how I don't like big mouths, and I'm not saying Abel Sanchez is a big mouth, but I'm just saying every once in a while we can all get a little mouthy, kind of like I am right now, if you think about it. But yeah, the sport needs what William Detlef, one of the writers of The Ring magazine before he got fired, used to say. Boxing needs flakes. We need our freaks. We need them more than perhaps any other sport out there. Because in baseball and basketball, who cares if a guy is nuts outside of the... how does that nuttiness and that craziness translate into basketball? Sometimes it will. Sometimes a guy will play in a more entertaining fashion or create a lot of controversy. But in boxing, usually, if a guy is crazy outside the ring, that's what he's going to bring inside the ring. And there's nothing better than seeing a fucking crazy nut job out there winging shots with 8-ounce, 10-ounce gloves on. So all of that to say that I really don't mind Abel Sanchez talking all that much, but I did find it a little bit interesting and a little comical how he, all of a sudden he's saying, well, Triple G's fighting better guys. Last time I checked, Daniel Jacobs wasn't a heavyweight. Last time I checked, he's not Kovalev. So if Triple G couldn't knock out Daniel Jacobs, maybe you were exaggerating a little bit. But like I said, that's the game. It's the nature of the jungle out there. You gotta overhype guys. And if you don't, the product suffers. And boxing suffers. Because boxing is run, like I said, by the freaks. But anyway, I don't want to repeat myself any further. That was the BDA Midnight Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave some comments. We're always interested in what you guys have to say about this crazy sport. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one.